In today's TechCorner, we will cover ISO, what it is and how it works. Since the invention of photography in the 1800s, numerous systems were created to measure film sensitivity to light. In fact, there were 9 systems in total before ISO, which made calculating exposure a tedious and complicated task. So in 1974, the ASA and the DIN systems were combined to make the ISO standard we know today. The term ISO is not an acronym. ISO is derived from the Greek word isos, meaning equal. ISO is also an ISO standard, which has caused much confusion amongst photographers as to its pronunciation. Now, traditionally, ISO defined the sensitivity of photographic film to light at a brightness level of 18% grey. This standard was revised in 2006 and again in 2019 as digital camera technology has evolved. In the days of film, as the ISO rating increased, so did the sensitivity of the film to light. This inherently introduced grain due to the presence of small particles of metallic silver on the film. Many photographers would shoot high ISO film specifically for the look of the film. Digital sensors work very differently to film. As you increase ISO, the sensor itself does not get more sensitive to light. Instead, the analog signal received by the sensor is amplified before being converted to digital. Some cameras have expanded ISO modes, and in these modes, a digital gain is applied. So as you increase your ISO on a digital camera, noise is introduced into your images. But this is just electronic noise from the sensor and the camera's electronics being amplified many times by the circuitry. It is important to know that film grain and sensor noise are not the same thing. Unlike film grain, which was chosen for its artistic feel, sensor noise will ruin a great image. If you want to achieve a film grain look in a digital image, shoot a clean image with a low ISO and add film grain in post. The ISO standard gives camera manufacturers 5 different techniques to determine the exposure index equivalent to film exposure. This exposure index is what is referred to as ISO in a digital camera. Not all sensors are made to the same precision, and when combined with different techniques, each manufacturer uses to determine the exposure index, variations of up to a third of a stop can occur between cameras at a given ISO. This does not mean that ISO on a digital camera is not the same thing as the ISO rating of film, which has been suggested online by some photographers. As I just mentioned, digital camera ISO may not be as precise as what film was, however, it is close enough to equivalent when applying the exposure triangle rules or metering for correct exposure. So what ISO should you shoot at? Well, it depends. Depends on where you are, depends on what you are photographing, and on the available light. However, you should always aim to shoot at the lowest ISO possible to make your exposure work. Now, if you want to learn more about exposure and how to select the best settings, check out the exposure triangle video linked in the description below. Thanks for watching this TechCorner video, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on our future videos.